In July 2015, we took a family vacation together at the beach, and this vacation was not easy for us. First of all, our whole family has a very busy work and school schedule, and it was hard to find a common gap. Everyone had their own work and school commitments. I own a small design firm and am the lead designer myself. I have a passion for creative design, and after years of study and struggle, I have managed to build my own business. I have a very busy schedule, and I work under a lot of pressure. My career has grown steadily, and I feel proud and satisfied. The day after I arrived at the beach, when I woke up, I felt some stabbing pains in my chest. As time went on, I noticed that it became more difficult to breathe, and the pain in my chest got progressively worse. I became worried and wasn't sure what was causing it. I thought it might be the result of not getting enough rest in the previous days. I decided to go to the local pharmacy in hopes of finding some pain relief medication. The lady at the pharmacy consulted me about my situation. After listening to my description, she expressed her concern about my symptoms. She recommended that I go to the emergency room for a complete checkup to make sure I did not have a serious health problem. She told me that the chest pain and difficulty breathing could be a symptom of some serious illness. I explained that I just didn't feel well rested and that the discomfort could be caused by fatigue. I thanked the lady for her concern and advice. I purchased some medications, hoping they would relieve the pain in my chest. I left the pharmacy with some hesitation in my mind, unsure if I should seek medical help. I decided to give myself some time and observe if my symptoms would improve. The landscape was filled with all kinds of beautiful wood carvings and artwork. My son was curious about these works of art. There were also many good restaurants in the scenic area. I didn't want to ruin my family's vacation. But after an hour, my pain began to increase, accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. I felt like I couldn't take the pain, and I told my husband that I was going to die today. I asked my husband to take me back to the hotel. My breathing became weaker and weaker. My husband realized that the situation was more serious than he thought, and he immediately called the emergency number to get professional help. It was all so horrible, and I felt like I was at the end of my life. All I could do was pray to God that if I was destined to leave, that He would take away my pain. The EMTs arrived quickly, and they rushed me to the hospital. In the hospital, time seemed to become a blur. My family constantly encouraged and comforted me. I appreciated their company, which kept me warm. Then, I was wheeled into the operating room. My emotions were filled with fear and uncertainty. As the anesthetic drugs were administered, I began to feel detached from the real world. After a while, I left my body, and I could see myself lying on the hospital bed. Suddenly, I saw the figure of a man that I was sure was Jesus. He looked to be about 30 years old, with short brown hair and a brown beard. His face was soft and kind, full of compassion and wisdom. His eyes were deep and conveyed endless compassion. His complexion looked very healthy. He was wearing a simple white robe. He smiled at me, and his eyes were full of compassion. I felt a strong sense of love. All the pain and fear disappeared. Although he did not speak, his presence conveyed a sense of warmth and care. I understood that he had come to give me strength and courage. As Jesus placed his hand on my shoulder, a tunnel appeared before us. The walls of the tunnel took on brilliant colors, like shining gems. Each color shone with a unique light. The interior of the tunnel emanated a warm glow, as if inviting me. Jesus guided me into that tunnel and we began to move quickly. After a while, the speed began to gradually slow down. We left the tunnel and a bright light appeared in front of us. I felt its light penetrate my body and illuminate my heart. At the same time, I felt a strong sense of love and satisfaction. This experience was beyond my comprehension. It was a deep spiritual experience. In that moment, I understood the power of love and the meaning of existence. I sensed the presence of other souls around me. We could not see each other directly, but there was a wonderful connection. There was no verbal communication between us, yet there was a strong tacit understanding. This connection transcended the confines of the physical world. We share our experiences and growth with each other. Here, each person's life is recorded in a unique way. I came across a small card that recorded everything about me from birth to now. This card, though small, carried a huge amount of information. I saw how I had grown up. Every important moment was carefully recorded. The information on the card is not simply a description of words, but vivid pictures and videos. I saw the good moments, such as when I learned to ride a bike, and the happy times with my family. At the same time, I also saw those difficult moments. The experiences that had caused me pain and helplessness were truly recorded on this card. One of the incidents I remember particularly well was when I was about 15 years old. I lied to my parents and said that my school had organized an art exhibition and I really wanted to participate. There were some costs involved in attending the event, including admission and transportation. In fact, I just wanted to go and buy a skateboard that I liked. And I was afraid that my parents would not approve of it, so I chose to lie to them. I knew it was dishonest, but I chose to lie to my parents in order to get what I craved. When I look back on it all, I feel so ashamed. My mother did not expose my lies at the time. My mother did not rebuke me. She treated my behavior with tolerance and understanding. Jesus did not judge my behavior. I said to Jesus that I regret the lie I had told. It had brought harm to my family and to myself. I knew I had lied to them and let them down. I felt very guilty and guilt-ridden. Jesus replied gently, "I understand the pain and regret in your heart. You have realized your mistake and sincerely repented. I have come to accept you and offer you love and forgiveness." I knew that in His presence I could confess my faults and confusion without reservation. Finally, Jesus told me that I must now go back. I pleaded with Jesus to let me stay here. I wanted to enjoy this peace and happiness forever. Jesus explained to me that I still had many important things to learn and experience on earth. Jesus gently held my hand. He said gently, "This experience is a special gift that will give you wisdom and courage. I will always be with you, giving you strength and guidance. This experience will be your motivation and precious memories to move forward. I understand that I need to return to earth to continue my journey and use my strength to create positive change." When Jesus placed His hand on my forehead, it was as if I traveled through time and space. And the scene before me began to gradually change. I saw my older self. My hair had turned silvery white, and my face was filled with joy and contentment. Standing beside me were my grandchildren, who were happily playing. I looked at the smiles of my grandchildren, and what a beautiful scene it was. Jesus gently held my hand and a warm energy spread throughout my body. The scene around me became blurred again, like a layer of fog enveloping me. Jesus said to me, "Child, it is time to return to earth. I will personally take you back to the hospital. I will always be with you, giving you the strength and courage to face the journey ahead. I began to move slowly downward. The hospital on the ground gradually became clear. I felt myself re-entering the real world. I closed my eyes and felt the merging of my soul with my body. After a while, my consciousness rejoined my body. When I opened my eyes, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. Just then, the doctor came into my room with a delighted expression on his face. He looked at me and said, "You are so lucky." I asked the doctor what had happened. The doctor explained that I had experienced a severe form of cardiac arrest and had been diagnosed with sinus arrest. He told me that sinus arrest is an extremely dangerous type of cardiac arrest and that only a very small percentage of people successfully recover from it. I was shocked by this news. And I could not imagine that I had experienced such a serious danger. At the same time, I felt grateful and thankful. I understood that the meeting with Jesus was not a hallucination, but a surreal experience. He gave me the strength and courage to overcome the sudden hardship. The nurse came into the room and told me that it is a miracle that only 2% of people recover from sinus arrest. I realized that I had been given a second chance and that this opportunity was so valuable. During a thorough examination at the hospital, the doctor found a small aneurysm on the left side of my heart. The doctor recommended that I undergo regular checkups to ensure that my condition would not deteriorate further. Since then, I have been going to the hospital for regular checkups. Each checkup made me very nervous. Fortunately, however, the results of each test showed no further deterioration. This made me feel very fortunate. People around me often told me how lucky I was. I know that it is not all luck. I know it is the grace and blessing of God. I firmly believe that God has always been there for me and that He has given me the strength and courage to face challenges and protected me from illness. From that day on, I have gained a deeper understanding of the preciousness of life. I decided to spend each day in a more positive way. Later, I took my children to help out at a nearby nursing home every month. Through this action, I hope to teach my children how to care for others and to cultivate their kindness. Every time we arrived at the nursing home, my children talked with the elderly people there. This experience has changed me and my family. We know how to care for others more.